For today's webinar, we'll be looking at Don't Let Future Shock Derail Your Improvement Journey. Our presenter today is Ross Kennedy. Ross is the President and Founder of CTPM. Ross is recognised as Australia's leading authority on total productive maintenance and CTPM's operations excellence through the TPM and Lean methodology. So let's get started. We hope you enjoy today's webinar, and I will now pass you over to Ross.
Right. Thank you very much, Samantha, and welcome to our webinar today about Don't Let Future Shock Derail Your Improvement Journey. So 4 things we want to touch on today. What is future shock? Why can it derail your improvement journey? How do you assess if you are heading for future shock? And how do you minimize future shock? So the first thing is, obviously, what is future shock? Future shock is where projects commenced some time back pervade an organisation to the point where they start to affect the most important people. And those most important people are those directly responsible for the value-adding activities of producing the product or service. So what we need to watch out for is that we don't have so many projects coming at our people that they get distracted from doing their core business. So we use this slide to help explain a little bit of what we mean by future shock. Where in most companies you have departments, whether it be the quality department or the IT department or the capital projects department or the HR department, or you have corporate, you have purchasing, you have safety, all these different departments, maintenance, HR, they all are out there, and when there is a need to do improvement, they see their role is to initiate improvement activities, and they all come up with some great improvement activities, as we've listed here, whether it be a new appraisal system, a cost reduction program, safety initiative. We think about our workplace, we've probably got all these different things going on. But when they first start, there's a lot of activity within the department, but after a while that sends out shockwaves as they start getting the frontline people to get involved with their project, in that they maybe need to be trained in what the new system is, or the new approach is, or the new way of doing things. And these shockwaves gradually start honing in on the frontline leaders, and this is where we start to get the future shock occurring. So the impact of future shock, the overload of extra meetings on key people in the organisation is probably the most obvious thing that we see. And those key people are our frontline supervisors and team leaders. And this can lead to the point where they become dysfunctional due to the build-up of the frustrations of not being able to get their normal tasks completed to the quality level they pride themselves in. When we talk about dysfunctional, it may be that they get so flustered by all these different meetings and things they have to go to, they just start to lose focus on what's really important, which is satisfying the customer and getting the quality right and satisfying the customer. So what are the symptoms of future shock in action? You might notice that the workplace is not being kept orderly or neat and tidy like it should be. There might be a few safety hazards that sort of creep into the place that we don't pick up on. Quality problems might be getting missed. Equipment problems being missed. Equipment starting to make funny noises and no one doing anything about it. Production plan not being consistently achieved. Every now and then we miss our achieving the production plan. People just turning up late for meetings because they're, oh, sorry, got distracted. And what we tend to see then is the overall cultural workplace morale starts to get lowered down because everyone's being a little bit stressed. And if any people issues come along, we tend to push them aside because we're too busy with all the other things. So I don't know whether any of those things ring true to you in your organisation, but I thought we'd just have a quick poll and ask the audience, just who believes this site may be suffering from future shock, where these things are occurring. So either yes, no, or unsure. So if we can just get a quick result on our poll here, and if you can just say yes, no, or unsure, and it appears we have 60% saying they are suffering from future shock. So hopefully we can give you some guidance or help in how to address that in your workplace. So why can it derail your improvement journey? Well, too often continuous improvement or an operational excellence improvement journey is seen as another thing to be added to the already growing list of things required by management. So we can start off with a great intention saying we want to go down the operational excellence journey, or whether we call it the continuous improvement journey like some of our clients, or whether it's we want to go and get involved with TPM and lean. But all of a sudden it can be seen as, oh, here we go again, here's another thing. And when this is blended into an environment where everyone is being impacted by a lot of other projects, and you start to get dysfunctional behaviour or resistance to the new improvement journey. So often we do see it where people, show this sign of resistance. So obviously it's very important that we understand if we are heading down the path of future shock and to do something about it. So how do we assess if we're heading down the future shock path? Well, we suggest you conduct a two-part review to determine whether the effects of future shock are already present. And that's not that difficult to do. It's just two things. Identify and evaluate all the improvement projects progressing at the site. And secondly, identify the time constraints of your people caused by attending too many meetings. So let's look at each one of these. So part one is, or part A is identify and evaluate all the improvement projects. So if we want to evaluate your improvement projects, you need something to evaluate them on. So having some framework, and this is where we talk about the key success factors for operations, and having that as a framework to identify both the tangible and intangible benefits, using that framework can be very helpful. So the Part A review is to conduct a survey of all the managers and supervisors to identify all the current planned and potential improvement projects, documenting such in a simple, consistent format. A possible format could include a paragraph or 3 dot points on the current situation, like why is this project being established, the future state, what do we expect to get out of it, and the expected outcomes and tangible and intangible benefits using that framework for key success factors for operations. Then a bit of an idea of the resources required along with the timeframes. What resources and when will they be required? And expected impact on the front line. Who will need to attend a meeting, be trained or informed to get something done? So again, you can put a simple template together and capture some of that information, which is what you should really be captured before you initiate a project anyway. So that's one, part A. And part B, how to do the part B review. Well, have every supervisor and team leader list the regular meetings and appropriate training workshops they attend each week and month, along with planned time and actual time. So just where are people getting distracted from their normal job of achieving the production plan? So just a quick question for everyone. I guess we all get to go to meetings at work. Who finds they attend a lot of meetings that don't achieve very much in their workplace? All right, so what we find is about 40% of you do attend a lot of meetings that don't achieve very much, and about 40% of you don't, and 20% not sure. So Obviously, that is still an issue in a lot of workplaces. So if we just move on, and I just want to touch on a little bit about the types of improvement, because if we're going to assess for future shock and we get people out there looking at all the meetings they go to, sometimes it's helpful to classify the meetings into what we call reactive or proactive. So you probably, one of you may have seen this slide that we use about the types of improvement in the business. One is reactive improvement, which is our role where if we don't achieve our expectations each day, we would want to be able to quickly get back to our expectations and then stop it from happening again. In other words, root cause analysis, so that we get to the root cause and solve the issue so we don't have the problem again. And this is often framed around a daily review meeting. So you have daily review meetings, and if certain triggers of performance are activated, for example, we had a 1 hour breakdown on a machine, or we had a 5% quality loss, we might say, right, let's get in and do some reactive improvement. So when you have daily review meetings to go to, and then you have your reactive improvement activities. And most reactive improvement activities are done individually. In other words, given to a person to go away and investigate. Proactive improvement, this is all about operational excellence, heading for true north, perfection, getting to world class. So taking you from your current performance up to your improvement vision, and this is where a lot of our improvement projects come from, about improving our performance. So if we classify our meetings, we can say we have reactive meetings, which might be we have to go to daily review meetings, safety review meetings or briefings, or communication briefings. And our proactive improvement might be project meetings, project briefings, learning about a project, or proactive improvement team meetings and activities, being involved in a cross-functional team or an area-based team. And there may be some other activities that we need to go to. So very easy to look at all the meetings people attend and then classify them. And I've certainly had situations where just by doing that activity and just getting a group of team leaders or supervisors in a room and saying, let's list up all the meetings everyone attends. It's amazing how you find all of a sudden there's this realization of, well, why should I have to attend that if this other person's going there? And sometimes you can just rationalize some of the attendances and free up people's time very simply by doing this actual review. So we do those two things, and the outcome of that typically tells us whether, one, how many projects we actually have, and secondly, how many meetings we've got people involved with. And again, I was at a site many years ago where we did this activity, and there's a site of about 600 people, and they end up identifying 34 projects that they were working on at that point in time, and involved a lot of resources. And when we asked them how they'd gone for the last 6 months on those projects, the answer was, well, we've all been working very hard at them. We haven't knocked any off yet, but we're still working on them. And it really highlights it. When you have too many things on, you tend not to do very well at them, and they drag out, and then you lose energy, and then they start losing focus, and not a very good way to do things. So we say we should really prioritize our projects, prioritize everything, rationalize. Can we bring some together, put them under a different banner, and often sitting back and looking at everything allows you to do that. And then limit the resource involvement so we don't overwork our people. So if necessary, put the rest on hold until resources are freed up by completing existing improvement projects or initiatives. And sometimes keeping focused on a few will give you a much better result than having a broad spread of a lot. There needs to be clarity on what is expected by everyone in the business, then ensure the best structure and policies are in place to support that expectation. So just a very quick one on structure. Again, when we talk about frontline, very important that our team leaders don't have any more than, say, 3 to 7 direct reports, and our supervisors don't have any more than 3 to 7 direct reports. If we're trying to get people involved in improvement, which is all about learning new skills of problem solving and visual workplace and prevention of source. So getting the right structure is very, very important in our organisation, and having policies. Policies like all personnel other than dedicated project improvement personnel should only be a member of one cross-functional improvement team and one area-based team at any one time. And this is supported by a slide here that ultimately we want everyone spending 10% of their normal work time on ongoing continuous improvement. But we don't want to spend any more than that, because again, it can cause dysfunctional behaviour by having too much involvement in improvement. So the other thing that we hear about is the importance of consistency of purpose. And this is, again, getting control of all these different activities. So we see you should have a site leadership team for all improvement activities. So you might be starting down the operational excellence path, but you should really bring all the different improvement activities under one banner for whether you call it site leadership team or steering committee, but having them there purely to look at all the improvement activities. And that would have what the different project managers are working on, what the cross-functional teams are working on, and what area-based teams are working on. And very important that you ensure you do not create future shock for your frontline leaders by regularly monitoring of the situation. That's why a site leadership team for improvement should be having weekly meetings to monitor what is going on. This slide you may have come across in our previous webinars. It's just saying that our leadership team for improvement should, every 3 or 4 months, have a pre-cycle strategy planning session to reflect and learn on how successful all the projects have been or improvement activities have been for that cycle, keeping in mind it's absolutely critical that all teams are successful. And so, because people, if their team is successful, will be motivated to be on more teams. Obviously, each cycle we've got to see what's urgent and critical for the business to make sure we are prioritising correctly for all the improvement activities we want to work on. Our people development plan is designed so that once a person's been in a team, you want to keep them involved in the team. So once someone, for example, has been in a cross-functional team, they should be on another cross-functional team. So they keep learning that skill, and they'll find it a lot easier to do it if they've been regularly on teams. We should have some sort of master plan of where we're heading to, and obviously this opportunity sheet is where we're continually capturing all the projects and listing them and then prioritising them in what we're trying to do. So very important that we put this structure and discipline in place, again, to manage all the improvement activities we are trying to achieve. So just in summary, what have been our key learnings from all this? Review all your current projects using an agreed format. Review all your meetings that people attend, planned and unplanned. Classify the meetings into reactive or proactive or other. So again, you can see where people's time is being spent. Set policies to limit people's involvement in improvement activities. So only having people on one cross-functional area-based team unless they are a dedicated project person or an improvement coordinator. Prioritise and rationalise existing projects so as to limit them to within your agreed policies for improvement, with remaining ones put on hold. In other words, stop them until you have the correct resources to and their impact will be understood. Set up a weekly improvement leadership team to monitor all the improvement activities on a weekly basis. That doesn't be long-winded. That meeting should only go for maximum 1 hour, shorter if possible. So other learnings, all improvement teams report to a leadership team that reviews progress on a weekly basis, which we're talking about. All leadership teams only have about 8 to 12 teams reporting to them directly. We find again, if a leadership team has too many teams reporting to it, they can't monitor them adequately so that the teams are always going to be successful. Once a person's on an improvement team or cross-functional improvement team, they continue to be in future cross-functional improvement teams, or one team at a time. all improvement teams successfully achieve their mandate within 12 to 14 weeks. You do put time frames on teams, you don't extend them out. If necessary, you break the activity up so there is a clear milestone completion point after 12 to 14 weeks. If teams can complete earlier, that is wonderful. They don't have to drag out for 12 to 14 weeks, but we do want them not to extend that. And recognise that reactive improvement activity is an individual activity and as such reports to a daily review meeting. So when people are doing reactive improvement is normally done as an individual, whereas proactive improvement is done as a team. So you might be doing problem solving. It's done from a team perspective, you call that proactive improvement, and it comes under the guides of the leadership team. Whereas if at a daily review meeting an incident has occurred and you want someone to go and investigate it, that's a role for someone to do, but they normally do that as an individual playing detective, asking other people to contribute, but it is an individual activity. So it's good to remember that the difference between proactive and reactive. Right, so how can we help you on your journey? What we would like to say is that, as Samantha mentioned earlier, we have our continuous improvement network or community. So through membership, we have our forum coming up, which I think is going to be very exciting this year with some great international speakers. And we even have, for the second time in the history of CTPM, a site that is celebrating achieving level 5 of their Excellence Award. So we'll come and hear about how that site has, over 7 years, has gone and achieved level 5 of the Excellence Award. And we have the papers about identifying and managing future shock, which I think Sam has organised to make available for you. So with that, I'd like to hand over to question times, please.
Great, thank you, Ross. As Ross just said, just a reminder that the brochures and the articles that we mentioned during this presentation can be downloaded from your handout section of your control panel. So do that now before this ends, because once it ends, you can't download it. We do have question time now, so if you have any questions or any last questions, just raise your hand or type your question in the control panel box provided. We do have, it's not quite a question, Ross, but we have a comment from Ronan here. It's to avoid future shock. One early initiative I have found is to truly understand people's job routines, fully including meetings, and redesign jobs to create time for improvement.
I think that's a very valid comment. Thank you for that, Ryan. Yeah, some people call it standardized work for leaders. In other words, we set up a standard routines of meetings that we know are adding value, and getting those routines as job routines or standardized work leadership is very, very important. So no, very, very good comment, and fully support that, because if you don't standardize it, and get it into routines, yeah, you have a lot of trouble managing situations.
Yep, great. We have another question here. Who should initiate and champion the Future Shock Review at your site?
That's a good question. Yeah, this is where you have an improvement coordinator or improvement manager would be I would suggest would be the best person to coordinate such a activity. It shouldn't be a long-winded activity, but it'd be a great one to give them to go out and suss out exactly what all projects are currently out there. And if they want any templates, we've got some templates for capturing projects and templates for capturing meetings. Happy to share those with anyone to help me out. But I'd say, yeah, I think it'd be an excellent role for your CI coordinator or manager to go and do, and come back and report back to the leadership team for review and consideration.
Excellent. Okay, that seems to be all our questions today. So we'll let you go because we know you have probably a busy day ahead. So thank you for attending, and just a reminder that our next CTPM webinar is scheduled on Tuesday the 15th of September. It's going to be about developing leadership thinking for improvement. And in the meantime, please feel free to contact us at any time if you have any further questions, require information, or if you'd just like to have a chat. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we hope to see you at our next webinar. Thank you.